With the second last week before playoffs of the VCT Americas Stage 2 concluding, we now know all 6 teams that are going to be participating. We had some crazy matches in that second last weekend, so time to talk about them. Hey everybody, welcome back to the channel, and today we are recapping the second last weekend of VCT Americas Stage 2. This was a very consequential weekend with all of the playoff spots being locked up. There were some comebacks, there were some heartbreaks, and everything in between. So this is the board we have today. We have all 5 matches that happened over the weekend. Starting with G2 versus Crew. This was a very important match for both teams, G2 having a very strong Stage 2 and almost guaranteed to be in playoffs. Crew also had a very good chance at making playoffs, but they have had a poor Stage 2 up until this point. So it ends up being a 2-1 victory in favor of G2, and Crew once again blew a 1-map lead. They won the first map in pretty dominant fashion and then couldn't bring it home, and G2 were able to make the comeback as they've done so many times this year. Looking at map 1, we have Lotus, which was a 13-4 win in favor of Crew. Usually G2 is pretty good on this map, especially on their defense side, but that was not the case during this match. Ends up being 9-3 at the half, with Crew going on a 6-round win streak at the start. Ends up being a 9-3 half in favor of Crew, Crew winning 6 rounds in a row after losing the pistol. Then in the next half, Crew take the pistol and end up only allowing G2 to get 1 round. So very good start from Crew, very dominant performance, but you gotta bring it home on the second map, right? Well, evidently that was not the case. Crew really could have won this. It really looked like they were going to, but G2 ended up winning it in overtime. G2 having a much better start to this map than map 1. They did win the pistol and then it went pretty back and forth, but they were right in it with Crew, ending the first half 7-5. G2 win 4 in a row, Crew win 3 in a row, and G2 do get to match point but can't close it out. It looks like Crew has the momentum, tying the game, bringing it into overtime, looking like they can finally close out a match during Stage 2. They would win the first round of overtime, G2 get 1 back, Crew gets another one, and then 3 in a row by G2 to end it. So this was Crew's chance to put G2 in the ground and qualify for playoffs before them, but they couldn't get it done, and then on the third map, they had their worst performance of the match. A 13-5 win in favor of G2, ending this one pretty decidedly, doing what Crew did to them during map 1. They ended the half 9-3. Crew would win the pistol, they would get the next round, but then G2 with 4 in a row to end it. Crew blown another 1-map lead. Really poor performance on those map 3s from Crew this stage so far. Looking at the team MVPs on the side of G2, we have Jonah P going 50, 44, and 29 for +6. And then you have Kesnet doing Kesnet things, 66, 45, and 13 for +21. Kesnet was having a fantastic match, and then on that third map, as soon as he couldn't get going, no one else from Crew were able to pick up the slack. Very solid performance by G2. They have gone undefeated this split so far. This did lock down their playoff spot, and Crew would have their playoff spot locked down, but not because they won. Energy losing meant that Crew had their spot locked down because there was no scenario where any team could leapfrog them even if they didn't win a single game this split. But still, I'm really not liking what I'm seeing from Crew during this stage so far. They looked very good in Stage 1, and they make the swap to bring MTA back and put Klaus on the bench. And I don't know if it's the absence of Klaus that's making them play this badly, but they really haven't looked great. They have fantastic map 1s, but maps 2 and 3 have eluded them so far this stage. They looked decent against Sentinels, but they lost that one, and then this one against G2, it was absolutely winnable. They had G2 in their arms, but they couldn't get it done, and G2 is a very good comeback team, so you have to be able to put teams in the ground to be able to win. Moving on to the second match of that Saturday, we have Leviathan versus Loud. So this was Loud losing their potential qualification for playoffs. It was an uphill battle, win or lose, but Leviathan is a very tough team to go against. They have had an insanely good Stage 2, looking like one of, if not the best team in the Americas right now. So for Loud, going up against that opponent, especially when they have your old player Aspas on the team, yeah, that's a really tough hill to climb, and they just weren't able to do it. They weren't even able to take a map. Looking at map 1, we do have Lotus, which was Loud's pick, and Leviathan were able to take this one 13-11. So at least Loud were able to keep it close, I guess. Leviathan would have a solid start by winning the first 3 rounds of the match, but then Loud would go on an impressive win streak, winning 7 rounds in a row and ending the half 8-4. So they had the lead, and then they were going into their attack half on Lotus. Those are games that you should be able to close out once you have that lead. But Leviathan, on their defense, did a very good job at shutting Loud down. They won the pistol, then the second round, Loud steal the bonus. They go a bit back back and forth, but Leviton were in control during that second half. 2 separate 3-round win streaks to take it. Then on Icebox, a map that Loud can be pretty good on, it was Leviton's pick, and they had the counter strat. 13-6 in favor of Leviton, not the map that you want to end your playoff qualifications on. Leviton in control on their defense side in the first half. They went on 4 separate 2-round win streaks. 8-4 at the half, Lev got the pistol, then the next one, Loud looking for something, they win 2 rounds in a row, but Leviton were able to shut it down. Looking at the team MVPs on the side of Leviton, Tech shows up. It's not Ospas this time. He went 42, 27, and 7 for plus 15. Then on the side of Loud, Kawazine, he had 34, 35, and 9 for -1. So really tough way for Loud to end their stage 2. I really didn't see them making playoffs with how poor of a split 1 they had. Really shot their chances in the foot. Pancada was a good addition, but it seemed like too little too late for this team to be able to pull something together. Loud do still have 1 game left. We'll see if they can conjure up a win just to end the season with dignity, but this has been a disappointing year for Loud thus far, really falling short to the expectations and where they've been in the past. And for Leviton, this was business as usual. They look very dominant right now. So moving on to the Sunday games, we have the game of no consequence, which was FURIA versus MIBR. Both these teams were winless during stage 1, which ruined both of these teams' chances for playoffs. However, FURIA have been looking decent this stage. They are 3-1 during the 4 games that they've played so far. So the expectation was MIBR was probably going to lose this one, as they've done in every single game during the stage 1 and stage 2 splits, which is exactly what happened. Looking at the first map, we have Sunset, which was MIBR's pick. This was a 13-10 win in favor of FURIA. 6-6 at the half, so it looked pretty close and MIBR would get the lead, but then FURIA were able to claw their way back and take this one before MIBR could take it to overtime. Then on Icebox, FURIA would close this one out in a decisive 13-7 victory. 9-3 at the half, FURIA would get the pistol in the second half, and MIBR were only able to get 4 rounds on their defense side. Looking at the team MVPs on the side of FURIA, we have Khalil, who went 47, 26, and 16 for plus 21. He's had a pretty good stage 2. Then on the side of MIBR, we have Artzine going 42, 31, and 4 for plus 11. So this game really didn't have a lot of consequence, but it is nice to see FURIA dig themselves out of the grave they were in stage 1. They do at least look like a decent team right now. People were kind of complaining about how high I had them on my power ranking. I had them at number 6. But as I said, they're 3-1 this split. This team is looking a lot better than what we've seen in the past. Still not a top tier team by any stretch of the imagination, but at the same time, it is at least good for this org to see that maybe they have something they can build on for next season. For MIBR, not so much, but they do have a brand new roster with the changes that they made before this stage, so we'll see where these 2 orgs go from here. So moving on to the second game of the day, the game with major consequence of the Sunday, we have C9 versus NRG. And honestly, I'm really not surprised with how this one went. This was a 2-1 victory in favor of C9. NRG did look very good early on, and they looked like they could have closed them out on multiple different occasions. We'll get to their blown lead on map 3, but for NRG, this is just how this year has gone. It's just been disappointment after disappointment, disaster after disaster, and losing in this fashion is just the cherry on top. This was their last game of the split, so they are done for now, and they will not be making champions or playoffs, and C9 secure their playoff spot with this one. Even if NRG won this one, it still would have been quite hard for them to make playoffs. They would have had to have other teams lose for them to be able to make it win. People were tweeting out the playoff scenarios, and I just ignored all that because I was like, it doesn't matter, they have to win. If they don't, they're done. And C9 had been playing pretty mediocre Valorant up until this match, but they got it together and looked like how they did in stage 1. Looking at map 1, we have Ascent, which was NRG's pick, and they would win this one pretty dominantly, looking like they were going to close this one out early. 13-3 in favor of NRG, going on an impressive 5-round win streak to start the match. 9-3 at the half, not a curse anymore, and they would close it out with 4 wins in a row. Then on Icebox, the tide would turn, and C9 would close this one out 13-10. It really looked like NRG had this one, and then it just disappeared into dust in their hands. C9 would win the pistol and the next round, and then NRG would go on an impressive 6-round win streak. During that round was this clip.
Hacker spawn, and it's gonna spot him. He gets detained. Still trying to find him inside that pit, though.
Hiding, and everybody's
Wait,
like,
he's out of
HP.
it. Back through. Gets a headshot on Saul. Ball 3. How did you do that, Saul?
So yeah, That happened, and Energy still lost the map. So they got an incredibly lucky break with one of the most embarrassing rounds I think I've ever seen C9 play, and still, Energy found a way to not build off of that momentum. They would end the half 7-5, but then C9 start the second half winning 4 rounds in a row. Energy tried to shift the tide back in their favor by winning 3 rounds in a row, but then C9 would close it out, not allowing them to get it to match point or overtime. And then we have the map that everybody's talking about, Sunset, which was a 14-12 win in favor of C9. And Energy absolutely should have won this one. There was no reason why they should have lost this. This is one of the biggest collapses that I think I've ever seen. Playoff lives on the line, you were at match point, and then you still end up losing. But before talking about the blown lead, let's start with the first half. C9 do win the pistol, and then the teams end up trading rounds a bit. Ends up being 7-5 at the half, and then Energy go on a 5-round win streak to get to match point. They were up 12-5, and then C9 end up winning 9 rounds in a row. 9 rounds in a row to close this one out. Energy couldn't do anything. They couldn't stop Oxy. They couldn't stop Rooney. They couldn't stop Vanity. Everybody on C9 just started playing like Ospas. It was just incredible. Energy just could not find anything. They just could not break that attack from C9. Just everybody playing a lot better than they did in the first half. And that's how it ends. In overtime with C9 doing a crazy comeback as they've done a lot this season. And you could see it on Crashy's face. You could see it with how Victor reacted after the match ended. This has been a dumpster fire year for Energy, and ending it this way, kind of poetic. Looking at the team MVPs on the side of C9, we have Oxy, who went 64, 52, and 10 for plus 12. And on the side of Energy, we have Som, who did have a good stage 2, going 56, 40, and 29 for plus 16. So with this match, C9 would lock up their playoff spot, and Energy would officially bow out of qualification. And honestly, I'm just glad it's over sooner rather than later. This team was not going to do anything if they did make it to playoffs. Even if they won this one, it was incredibly unlikely that they were going to make it. So this is just how it ends up going. While I did like FNS and Som coming back, I thought swapping out Demon 1 was probably a bad idea. And during the stage 2, it absolutely looked like they could have used someone like Demon 1 to get a lot of kills. I'm going to be doing a bigger video on Energy later this week, so stay tuned for that. I'll save a lot of my thoughts for that one. But yeah, Energy ending it this way, it just feels like this is 2023 Sentinels all over again. So with that all said and done, let's move on to the 100 Thieves versus Evil Geniuses match. This was also a very big game for both teams. Both of these teams needed to win this one to qualify for playoffs. Whoever won this spot would basically have a spot guaranteed, or at least have a very likely scenario. Head-to-head matchups are a tiebreaker in the VCT Americas for playoff qualification, and these two teams had the same exact record heading into this match, so whoever won this one would be in that 6th spot, and the losers wouldn't be able to move up. And after a very back and forth, a very competitive match, it did go in favor of 100 Thieves at the end of the day. Looking at map 1, we have Lotus, which was a 13-10 win in favor of 100 Thieves. 100 Thieves would take the pistol and the second round, EG would get the third, and then 100 Thieves would go on a 4-round win streak, ending the half 8-4 in favor of 100 Thieves, but then EG would get the pistol. A very back and forth second half with EG taking most of the rounds, but then 100 Thieves needed the 3 and they would get it. So 100 Thieves having an impressive performance on a map that they haven't played since kickoff. Then on Bind, a map once hailed to be 100 Thieves' best, but during this stage, not so much. This would be a 13-10 win in favor of Evil Geniuses. This was a perfect opportunity for 100 Thieves to close this one out, but EG would get it done. It's 3-3, 6 rounds in, but then Evil Geniuses would win 5 in a row. 8-4 at the half, 100 Thieves get the pistol and the next one, but then EG, they got what they needed. Then on Ascent, unfortunately, EG weren't able to put up as good of a fight, and 100 Thieves would take this one 13-7. 100 Thieves with an impeccable attack side, ending the first half 9-3. EG would start to build some momentum by winning the first 4 rounds of the second half, but then 100 Thieves would get the 4 that they needed. Looking at the team MVPs on the side of 100 Thieves, we have EU, who has had an incredible stage 2, probably their best player during the split. He went 57, 41, and 30 for plus 16. Then on the side of EG, we have Derek playing his former team, 49, 46, and 24 for plus 3 for him. So 100 Thieves, after a shaky stage 2, would make it into playoffs. It would have been incredibly disappointing for this team to not make it in after having a top 4 performance at Shanghai. They've had a very up and down stage 2, but it looks like they've regained their form that they seem to have lost. And for EG, they really fought hard. Unfortunate performance on the 3rd map, but during those first 2 maps, they would try their best. This team made it a lot farther than I thought they were going to. Potter and Jogamo absolutely dragging this team to respectability. They've been one of the better teams during stage 2. They just couldn't get it done to make playoffs. playoffs because that first stage definitely shot them in the foot. This roster does have one more game, so we'll see how they end the split, and then we'll see what the future is for this team. So those are all the matches that have happened. Looking to the Friday, only having one match, we have C9 versus Crew. The only thing that these teams are really fighting for now is for placements during playoffs, so this is an important match, even though whatever team loses isn't going to bow out of playoffs. Leviton already have the top spot of the playoffs locked in. They already have the bye. So this weekend is all about trying to not be in that knockout round, because you don't want to be in the single elimination round, because we saw how that went for teams during stage 1 playoffs. So that's everything that we have to talk about today. Let me know in the comment section down below what you thought of all these matches. How do you think playoffs is going to go? Let me know in the comment section down below. Please click like if you enjoyed this video. Thank you very much for watching, and I'll see you guys in the next one. Bye.